Well, there might still be hope that evolutions won't be blocked in Hard Gold and Soul Silver the way they were in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and the reason I say that is because Shiron of the Speed Gamers forums, well, I say Shiron, but I honestly don't have any clue how it's pronounced, so Shiron it is for now. And, whoop, oh, this guy here, I think he's gonna give me a rod. I think it's the good rod. Do I have it? I think I don't have it. I think I only went with the old rod up to this point. Yeah, it's the good rod. So anyway, what that person suggested is that the Pokemon that are going to be added to the Johto Dex aren't going to be babies. They're going to be the evolutions that, well, of Pokemon that evolve by learning a move. Those would be Ambipom, Mamoswine, Tangrowth, Lickilicky, and Yanmega. And if you add them at their proper spots in the Johto Dex, everything falls into place with the numbers we know so far. Those being Growlite, Arcanine, and Lapras. And this theory, I think, is vastly superior to mine on the account that it doesn't rely on crazy stunts of logic, because some of the stuff I suggested, while logical, were somewhat stretches, but this is simple, straightforward, and it actually works. So, the one question, if they allow those 5 evolutions, will they block the others? Because, well, for instance, let's say you've got a Dusk Stone via trade, and you have a Murkrow. If you try to evolve it with the Dusk Stone, is it going to be blocked or not? Currently, there's no way to know. But if that theory is accurate, my money's on the possibility that they won't be blocked, because it would really be ridiculous to allow those 5 and block the rest. What would happen, I think, would be the same as in the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum when you get Pokemon that aren't in the Sinnoh Dex. You have them, but they're not part of the Pokédex until you evolve your Pokédex, so to speak, into the National Dex. Nope. Don't have the Krabby, don't care for the Voltorb, so you are going to have to wait a little longer here. And, yeah, so, bottom line, I think there will be no restriction on what you can get before you have the National Dex. If you manage to get your hands on something that isn't in the Johto Dex, it just won't count, like the same way it did in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Sure, it's gonna be a little awkward to have Togepi and Togetic in a regional Dex, but no Togekiss, but I think we can manage. Okay, this guy's saying that the Whirl Islands are deserted, but apparently in the anime they're very well populated. Well, it goes without saying, because a bunch of deserted islands don't make for very good TV. Well, the Pokemon anime can't make for good TV either, but that wasn't the subject now, was it? So with the speculation for the Johto Dex out of the way, I think it's time for me to share one of the most noobish yet most hilarious comments I've had since I created this channel. It's on part 32 of my Pokemon Red LP if you want to see it, and quite honestly, it's worth a laugh or two. This guy is complaining that, well, part 32 is the part where I go to the Pokemon Tower for the first time, and I can't fight wild Ghastlies yet, so I can only fight the trainers. Now, this guy seems to have a problem with the fact that I'm climbing the Pokemon Tower, knowing full well that I can't finish it. But what I was doing, actually, in that part of the run was giving Alakazam some easy experience. And apparently, I looked stupid for not getting the Silph before fighting the trainers. I knew I couldn't finish the dungeon. I just wanted the experience from trainers. And then he concludes with perhaps the funniest line in the history of this channel. Please improve before you continue. First things first, I strongly believe that right now I'm at the point where no matter what I do, I cannot improve anymore in terms of in-game. Of course, competitively, there's always room for improvement, but for in-game purposes, I strongly believe I cannot get any better than I am now. I have hit my limit there. And, of course, before you continue, has he watched just how many videos I've done since then? that was part 32 of Pokemon Red. I finished Red at part 94. That means 62 videos right there, and this is part 54 of Crystal. So I have made 116 videos since then. So if you want to see the comment, it's in part 32 of Pokemon Red. Now, there was someone who posted on Libeldra. I don't remember who it was, but he made some really cool Pokemon plushies. And by that, I really mean that. He made them. He made plushies of Aggron and Mawile. And I'm going to put up a link in the movie description because he's got pictures of those plushies. And they look absolutely amazing. Like, if he sold them on eBay, he'd make a pretty penny with it. Oh yeah, this guy now is going to give me the Strength HM, which I'm going to teach to Psyduck. And if you remember, it was Whitney that gave me the permission to use Strength outside of battle. So I'm going to teach it to Psyduck, and, well, you know what that means. That means more backtracking. There are 3 places where I can use Strength right now, and those are the basement of the Burn Tower, the Slowpoke Well, and the Union Cave. Remember that boulder that was blocking access to the last chamber of the Ruins of Alpha? I'm gonna be able to go there now. But I am not going to do that right now. I'm going to finish my tour of Olivine, which includes the Battle Tower area, because they added a Battle Tower in Crystal, and it's not the same as the Battle Towers in Emerald and On. It works a little differently. The main difference is that instead of the levels being equalized, your team keeps their actual levels. So for example, let's say you have a level 35, 32, and 33, they will stay at those levels. And you'll be able to take on challengers. Well, you have 10 choices for the levels of your opponents. You have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. And you can only take on levels that are higher than those of your Pokemon. So, to take back the example of the level 35 being your highest, you're only going to be able to fight level 40 Pokemon and higher there. And also, Ubers are allowed from level 70 on. You won't face Ubers, but they'll be allowed for you if you take a challenge at level 70 or higher. The Ubers include Mewtwo, Mew, Lugia-Hoo, and Celebi. Yes, Celebi was actually Uber back then. Even though, well, Nintendo's always treated it as an Uber by banning it from all tournaments, but back then, competitively, it was actually Uber. Now it's a very good overused Pokemon, but back then it was much more than that. And finally, the objective wasn't to make the longest streak possible. It was just that you faced 7 trainers in a row, and if you beat all 7 of them, you could win 5 of one of the different types of vitamins, like HP up, irons, carbos, etc. So for example, you beat 7 trainers, you could win 5 HP ups, for example, or 5 irons, or you get the idea. Now you're probably wondering if you'll see me take on the Battle Tower. The answer is no. These LPs I'm making fully focus on the RPG element. Once you enter the Battle Tower and the Battle Frontiers, you're stepping into the strategy game territory. So, no Battle Tower, and if I make it to Emerald and Platinum, no Battle Frontier either. That music sounds familiar. Where have I heard it before? Nope, doesn't sound familiar anymore, but the intro sort of sounded like... I think it's the music that plays at the very beginning of Red, Blue, and Yellow when you talk to Professor Oak. Well, you know, when you get to name yourself, and then it plays again on routes 24 and 25. I think that's the one. But I could be wrong. And remember that the Battle Tower in this game is particularly difficult. But winning 7 battles in a row doesn't sound all that bad, especially with Emerald and Platinum, but Here, it's a lot harder. You need to build your team perfectly for that kind of thing. Alright, next time.